Welcome to Pre-Snap Podcast, presented by LineStar app. Here's your host, Casey Bubba and Scott Bogman.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pre-Snap Podcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at LineStar Sports. Make sure you check them out on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar NFL. Most importantly, download the app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Everything you need in the palm of your hands to build your winning DFS lineups. And we're here to talk some DFS for NFL Championship Weekend, the Final Four, two-game Sunday slate to break it all down for you. You can find myself on Twitter at BDentric, and my co-host is always on Twitter at Bogman Sports. Scott Bogman, how we doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I am looking forward to these games. This is going to be a fun, 4-team slate that we have here on Sunday, and it actually provides you with way more options than you would think in 4 games because everybody's on the table here. They're all good. So this is going to be fun picking through this one.
Agreed. I was doing some of my written content this week, and I'm like, I can literally see myself building almost probably won't play Jimmy Garoppolo, but I could probably build so many lineups with most quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers in these games. Like, you can justify stacking it up so many different ways. It's a lot of fun. So play your ownerships where you want, play a little chalk where you want. Definitely some ways to do it. And obviously, if you guys play Showdown, there'll be 2 Showdown slates. They're going to get you all the money they can on DraftKings and FanDuel. So have fun with that. But real quick to recap for everybody, when you're looking at this slate, you got Bengals at Chiefs -7 over under 54.5. And you have Niners at Rams -3.5 over under 46. So smaller spread in the afternoon, higher total in the morning. That's how they're breaking things down for you. But we'll go position by position as we like to do here with these smaller slates. So Bogman, quarterback, you got Mahomes, Burrow, Stafford, and Garoppolo. What you got?
I mean, I think I just want a quarterback in the first game here. So I'm going to stay a little chalky and expensive. I'll pay up for Mahomes in certain lineups, but I think Joe Burrow is probably your best option this week at 66 and 75. Contrarian play is Jimmy G, though, at 5,400 and 6,200 because nobody's going to want him because he hasn't been good in the first 2 playoff games. But you never know. Some things can break right, and they've seen this team twice before, so they've won twice before, so they kind of know what to do against them. Although, I think this defense for the Rams is playing on a different level right now, so I wouldn't mess too much with it, but I'll have at least one lineup where I get Jimmy G in there because he will be the contrarian play.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the way you can look at this slate, the NFC game's your contrarian game to begin with. So if you just want to stack up that, you're going to be different. If you're going to focus on the first game, most likely the Bengals are your contrarian side of it. Because I think most people flock to Mahomes, especially after Sunday night. So it's definitely angles there. So I like Joe Burrow as well at 66. Now, if you look at maybe ownership projections on Sunday morning show Mahomes getting overlooked, well, we might have a discussion to be made, which makes things much more entertaining. But I do like Burrow at 66 and 75. He threw all over these guys in their first matchup. He's going to need to throw all over them again to have a chance here. Like you mentioned on the Picks show, we're still trying to get a feel on does the Honey Badger play or not. We both think he will, but we also thought he would have been back by now. So it's kind of a up in the air situation. The contrarian play I would play is I have no problem with Matthew Stafford. Like, I like this Niners D. I know they put pressure on him, but this Rams offense is clicking right now, utilizing OBJ more, utilizing Higbee. It's not all the Cooper Kupp show. There's a lot I do like in here, and I think Stafford can get it done as well. He's a little cheaper. He's the same price on FanDuel as Burrow, $300 cheaper on DraftKings. So my preference is Joe Burrow. But if you want to get a little more contrarian angle, I think Matthew Stafford is extremely live in this game, and he's been playing at quite a level here the last few games in the playoffs.
I hate how much you love Joe Burrow, by the way. But
yeah,
I get it, but I don't like it.
If Burrow wins this game, I will buy a Burrow jersey. It will happen. It's going to happen. I might just do it anyways, just to make it fun to wear a Bengals shirt on this show.
No.
But would you rather me wear that or Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew.
I just want to hear you say it.
Yep.
Running back position. Let's hit this one up. You got Mixon again. Again, this week, they're not super expensive as like they were last week. Mixon leads the way, but they're still good backs. Mixon, Mitchell, CEH, McKinnon, Akers, and others. Where do you look at on this one?
I mean, I think the most cost-effective here is Eli Mitchell just because of the amount that they've been giving him the ball. 5,900, 7,000. I think that's a good price. I love this price of Jerick McKinnon at 51 and 6,200 just because that they've been giving him the work. I would much rather have him than CEH. He outtouched CEH last week. So not, look, CEH was good last week. I think they had, it was one of those, why are you not giving him the ball more? He had 4 carries for 49 yards or something. So I was like, what are they doing? Give him the ball more. But they've been designing plays for McKinnon in Kansas City. I'm a little perplexed on what to do with the Rams running back situation, though, because Akers fumbled twice and Sonny Michel hasn't fumbled, that much the whole season. So are they going to go back to more sure hands of Michel, a little less game breaking and all that stuff? Or are they going to say, you know what? He made his mistakes. He's still our guy. We're going to roll with Cam Akers. I think it might be a little bit closer to 50-50. So I don't know how much I want either one of those guys, really. So for me, Mitchell and McKinnon are my favorite plays. But obviously, if you want to pay up and get Mixon, I totally understand that because he's not crazy expensive at 68 and 82, but he is the most expensive.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like, I think Mixon will be extremely popular when all said and done, just because he's not that expensive. You kind of know his role, whereas question marks with the rest of them. Like, you know what you're getting with Mixon. If you're playing in cash, you play Mixon in situations like that. I could see fading him, though, because he is the easy one, so most people are going to go that way. I agree, Eli Mitchell. Even though Debo gets his, Mitchell definitely gets his. I looked at the breakdown. I think Eli Mitchell, I think, has over 100 carries the last 4 games or whatever, and Debo has 40 carries, which is still outstanding, but it's still a decent enough split, is what I'm trying to say. He's still getting his no matter what. Still gets a little utilization on the passing game. Very affordable. I think they're going to need him a lot if Von Miller's up in the backfield quite a bit. So Eli at 59 and 7 Ks in play. I don't mind going back to Jerick McKinnon. At a moment's notice, it can flick back to CEH, but we saw last week it was still a heavy McKinnon week, especially in the passing game, which, again, I think is going to be utilized in this one. So I like McKinnon. And then I go between – I got Cam Akers. I'm going to keep sticking with it. I know the 2 fumbles is concerning, but they kept putting them out there, even after the fumbles. And the workload doesn't scream he's in a lot of pain that much of that injury. So I'm going to keep riding Akers because I think even McVay knows he's the more explosive of the 2 backs. If we need the big play, it's Cam Akers. We're going to run him out there. So I'm going to go with some Cam Akers. I could see it, though, with this Niners defense, if you want to try to grind it out with them, which is crazy, it could be a Sony week, but that's still not going to be a bunch of fantasy points.
Right.
So I kind of circle I think the Eli Mitchell, Jerick McKinnon, Cam Akers is kind of where I'll be circling right now. Unless, like you said, you want to just go get Joe Mixon, get your kind of stability. I get it. Wide receiver, it's loaded. This is where I think you can differentiate your lineups quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just was sitting here making a lineup where I got Kupp, Chase, and Hill in there, right? So I had to go a little cheaper. I had to take the Niners defense. I went with Uzama and Higbee. I went with your double tight end stuff with McKinnon and Mitchell and Joe Burrow. So you can make it happen here, but it's hard to pick through these guys. Look, I know Ramsey and all that for Debo, but Debo's played them twice and he's torched them for over 100 yards and a score each time combined, not receiving, but he scored twice in the first game, once in the second game. He's been outstanding against the Rams all season. Tyreek is on a different level right now. He's just a human joystick, easy to go. And then you have, we remember what Chase did to these Chiefs last time, and they might be without Tyrann Mathieu this time. And you saw the first half to second half, without Tyrann Mathieu, they couldn't cover Gabe Davis. They're going to be able to stop Higgins or Chase. I doubt it. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down at the top end. So, Kupp is the best wide receiver of all of them too. We saw him get giant yards on the last 2 plays for the Rams. So I don't know, man. It's hard. I think for me, if I have to pick like a trio I want to build around, if we're sticking to high-end wideouts, it's Kupp, Hill, and Chase for me. Love Debo, little nicked up. They should put Ramsey on him more in a playoff game as well. Love this price on Higgins. OBJ's been more involved. I think if I'm going to go down to the cheap guys, I'm probably going to go with Hardman because they've been designing plays for Hardman. And he scored on one of them last week, almost scored on that second one in overtime as well. They've just been too good recently. So, it's all about the high-end guys to me this week.
Yeah, I feel like I want to just pay for Kupp. 88, 97 is expensive. You can do it pretty easily, like you said.
You can make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those. I want a piece of a piece of Cup on this one because they're, regardless of how good the Niners are playing, they're going to force them to football. We've seen it. This is what they're going to do. Debo's the unicorn. If you want to go there, you can. Quite a discount off a Cup. Tyreek coming off a big game. People are going to look at that game against the Bengals and get kind of disappointed, but he still had 10 targets. He only caught 6 of them, and
Right.
they kind of like bracketed him quite a bit. He could easily blow up on us, like we saw. Just took one big play last week, all of a sudden blew it up. So I think he's a nice contrarian play. But for me, like Cup and Chase, those are the two I want. I think Chase just continues his monster run. Probably gonna be very popular. Chase needs to be another $1,000. He's too cheap. He's too cheap this week. So I like Chase a lot. If you want to go Higgins, you can. But for me, it's Chase and Cup is what I really want up top. But you can pretty much make cases for all of them. But when you go down here, I love OBJ. Continues to get a lot of looks. Gets just as many red zone looks as Cooper Kupp right now. Those two are tied for the postseason league with 4 each on the Rams. So I love some OBJ at 51 and 63. Brandon Ayuk had a monster game against the Rams last week. So if you think it's going to be a score fest, which I kind of do, Ayuk is a big one. Only 1 target last week in that messy game, but week 18, big game against the Rams. They needed to use him for the quick passes with all that pass rush. So Ayuk, I think, can get there quite a bit. I've been on Byron Pringle this whole time. He's second on the Chiefs right now in the postseason in red zone targets. Like over the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's just been crushing it. 43 and 57. I like him a lot. I don't mind the McCole Hardman call if you want. I prefer Pringle over Hardman, but you can see Hardman busting one at any moment. So I don't deny that. And then, like you said, and we've said pretty much week in and week out, Jawan Jennings is very cheap. If you want just a cheapie, very, very cheap. So there's a lot of options here how you want to build. I prefer a couple of the guys up top, but there's tons of mid and low price guys you can make work. Like in cash, you should have a Cooper Kupp or a Jamar Chase in your cash, but you could just go like Beckham, Ayuk, and like Pringle and almost make it work. So it's not the end of the world. Tight end position, Kelsey, and then some dudes. What you like?
Yeah, I mean, that is the best way.
They're good tight ends, but let's be real.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it is Kelsey and then some dudes. I mean, if you want to pay up, you pay up for Kelsey's $1,500 more than anybody else, $6,500. I like Uzama. I just think the price at 34 and 56 in that highest scoring game, of the week, the highest over game of the week is probably the way to go to save some money to get some of those bigger and wide receivers. But if you want to, go down and take a Hardman or a Pringle or somebody like that to get Kelsey in your lineup, I completely understand that. And I'm on board with it too. That's what I said, that there's no one in here. I mean, even Kendall Blanton was scoring. The Chiefs run quarterback plays, rollout plays and stuff for Blake Bell. So there are many, many tight ends you can select here. I think I'm just going to stick with the cheapest of the guys that's going to be out there the most, and that's Uzama at 34 and 56. But I get paying for Kittle. I get paying, Higbee's cheap too, 37 and 55. I think that's a great price for him. So I think I'll stick with one of those two guys, but probably Uzama for the most part.
Yeah, I love Kelsey. Like if you can pay for him, great. You don't need to though. Kind of like what you were saying. I'm 100% on board if you can make it work, though. I think he's like if I took one receiver for Kansas City, I want Kelsey. That's who I want. But if you can't do it, you can't.
I think I want Hill. That's a good battle, though. I mean, those are their guys, but
it's a weekly battle.
I just think the way Hill's playing, no one can stop him. Dude, he threw up the peace sign before he was past Milano. That's awesome. Crazy.
I just love Kelsey. 4 straight games with touchdowns. He's putting up at least 13 PPR points a game with 2 20-point games in there. His floor is so much safer than Hill's, but Hill does have the ceiling. I'm with you there. But if you want to save, Higbee torched the Niners in Week 18. He's been a tremendous asset over the last month as they've kind of mixed and matched this new offense with OBJ and company. So I don't mind going to him, especially because Higbee didn't do much last week, so kind of recency bias could lower his ownership. But Uzama, I'm with you. We've been on him this whole time. He's been cheap every week. And in the playoffs, the last 2 games, he has been a favorite outside of Jamar Chase. He's been the second most targeted guy. Him and Higgins are fighting for option 2 behind Jamar Chase right now. And it's been very, very close. And Uzama finding the end zone has been huge. And he didn't have the biggest game against Kansas City the first time. So hopefully that'll kind of deter people. This Bengals team is kind of flowing a little differently right now. So I think Uzama is a great discount if you want to go there at 34 and 56. And you can definitely be different with your team by playing CJ or Tyler Higbee. No problem at all, because I think most are going to try to pay for Kelsey. I think that's the way it's going to go. So if you want to save some cash, definitely in play. Now you got defense, Rams, Chiefs, Niners, Bungles.
Look, I think what you want here is you want the Rams at 32 and 45 because who is going to make the mistakes? It's Jimmy G, right? That's who you think this week is going to make the mistakes. But I'm going to do probably one of two things. I'm either going to pay up and take the Rams, or I'm going to, roll them bones and see if the Bengals will pay off as the cheapest. Because, like we said before, the way the Bengals lose this game, I think, is Patrick Mahomes makes mistakes, and he will put the ball up for play on occasion. So I think those are the two ways I'm going. I want to take the more mistake-prone QBs, Jimmy G, Patrick Mahomes being, I think, the two most mistake-prone here. We have seen Matthew Stafford not play at his peak the last couple weeks, but he was really good in the last week against the Bucs. So I'm thinking it's turned a little bit for him as well. So for me, I'm either going to pay up and go against Jimmy G, or I'm going to pay all the way down and see if picking against Patrick Mahomes will pay off for me. That's what I'm doing.
I always love fading Jimmy G. So if you want to go the Rams, 100% on board with that. But I think there's a lot to be said with playing the Bengals because all it takes is like 1 or 2 turnovers, a pick, fumble, whatever. If they take one to the house, then you're gravy. But just a couple turnovers, a couple sacks, and they're going to pay off their price tag. Like they don't have to have – they can still give up 30 points, and it's not going to crush you like you would think it would. And the Bengals are shown to be very, very opportunistic on defense with a pretty good pass rush. So I think there's a lot to be gained with a $2,600 Bengals team that no one's going to roster. Same thing. Say the same argument for the Niners in a better situation potentially. That Niners team is buzzing right now with Bosa and company on that front line, Fred Warner. You could make a lot of noise against Stafford. What if he takes a step back to that troublesome Stafford to finish out the season? A lot to be said about that too. I think the Niners will be the popular cheap play, very popular cheap play, which makes the Bengals more enticing. But I think you can punt with either one of those defenses and have some success this week because they should be able to put up some pretty decent numbers all across the board. All right, let's recap things real quick. Bogman, what one team do you prefer to stack up out of the 4?
Chiefs. Stack up the Chiefs because the offense is clicking. That's the one. If I'm picking one, that's who I stack.
If I'm picking one, I'm picking the Bengals. That's my one. Give me the Bengals because they're going to have to throw to keep up. So give me the Bengals. That's my plan. They're cheaper. You can get more assets that way, and that's my attack is the Bengals. If you are going to let's have fun. If you're going to play the showdown, just for fun, you don't have to look at prices.
Okay.
For the Chiefs, who would be your one captain? Or the Chiefs? It could be the Chiefs, or the Bengals. In that game, who's your one captain?
Tyreek. Tyreek's my captain.
I will go with give me Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase would be my
I think
captain.
it has to be one of those two guys because they offer by far the most upside. Yeah.
Now for that Niners-Rams game, who would be your one captain?
Ooh.
Do you pay for Cooper Kupp or do you go elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, paying for Cooper Kupp is great, but I think I'd do something weird there. I'd either go like Higbee and then save money and take the rest of the big guys, or I would go like, Eli Mitchell, something like that. I think that's what I'd do.
I think like Higbee or like Brandon Ayuk could be quite interesting because that's the game where you want all those pieces. Where like the Chiefs game, there's so many value pieces that can go off. Harder to find the value pieces per se on that Niners Rams. You want the Kupp, the Debos in that game, and so you have to pay for them.
You can take your Van Jeffersons or Juwan Jennings, but they might catch one ball.
Bingo. It's a little tricky. And last but not least, the touchdown calls of the week. If you check out LineStar on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar NFL, Bogman got his last week. I got mine in walk-off fashion to end the slate. It was a beautiful thing. But if you retweet the tweet from LineStar with Bogman, myself, and Ryan Humphrey's touchdown calls of the week, 3 lucky retweeters will get chosen to be paired with each one of us. If our guy finds the house, you win some free swag. So Bogman, championship weekend. Who's your touchdown call? I have a hunch, but who's your touchdown call of the week?
Give me the cheetah. Give me Tyreek. I want him. I want him to torch those Bengals. I hope it happens. And cheetah's faster than a Bengal. Let's go.
Cheetah's faster than a Bengal. I love it. For me, I'm going to keep it simple in my eyes. Give me Cooper Kupp. All he does is score touchdowns. Give me Cooper Kupp. Right. You'll take the cheetah. I'll take the Kupp. We'll see who Mr. Humphreys comes up with as well. But should be a fun weekend. Find out who the Super Bowl is in 2 weeks in LA. Maybe the Rams get back-to-back home games. We'll see. Should be a lot of fun in this one. But until then, check out Bogman on Twitter at Bogman Sports. I'm at BDentric. Good luck, everybody.
See ya.
Welcome to Pre-Snap Podcast. Thanks for listening to Pre-Snap Podcast, presented by LineStar app. Please like, comment, subscribe, and rate for good karma in your fantasy football